Listeners, to catch up here, you were accused, you turned yourself in, you were in jail for a night. Another accuser comes out, you get arrested again. I'm kind of speeding it up. Correct me if I'm wrong with the facts, but then you are, where do we get to when we're at the trial? How does that happen?
Yeah, so I'll give you the highway version here. And I'm writing a book and I'm going into depth about this whole process. I'm just laying my heart out as uncomfortable as it is.
Yeah.
It's something I need to do and something I in order for me to fully move on. I've moved on a lot in my life and all this. It's taken a lot of work to do so. Um, but this book is explaining a lot of the uh, the process and a lot of it's a miracle. And I can't believe sometimes this has happened to me. Now that I'm living in this side of life with so many blessings to count, I can't even imagine. I can't believe sometimes we went through all that. But to give you a sped up version about this, I get the moment that I get accused, um, it takes about a month for the police to actually warrant an arrest for me. I have to now turn myself in. My attorney's telling me to turn myself in. I'm saying, no, I'm not going to turn myself in. I'm not doing it. I didn't do it. Again, super naive. I'm a kid, don't know what actually that means. She says, they're going to come to your job or they're going to come to practice, they're going to come to your school, and they're going to take you away in handcuffs and everybody's going to see it. So the best deal here is turn yourself in. Okay, how do I do that? Well, tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna go and this is, by the way, this is trying to get my dates right here. This is July. Yeah, this is July, like right at the end of July, when I'm having to do this. And I show up early in the morning with my mom and my brother, and I remember this like it was yesterday. I walk into that sheriff's lobby and I see my mother and she's crying. Imagine being a mother, seeing your son have to do this at a young age. And yeah, I sit there and they tell me to stand up. They put my hands behind my back. I still hear the clicking of the handcuffs. And yeah, I get walked through these doors into a waiting room full of people that I've never thought that I would be sitting next to or even be around. Um, People like coming in from, you know, a night out on the town drunk in a drunk tank, people peeing on themselves because they're overdosing on drugs, and you know, people being arrested for beating women. It's just it's unbelievable. And I sit there and it takes 13 hours to get bonded out. I make bond. My brother picks me up that night, embraces me, gives me a big hug. I cry in his arms. We get in his truck. We drive off. And then a month later, as during that month, school starts, I get kicked out. I never get to start my senior year. I get kicked off the football team. My scholarships get stripped from me. I'm all over the news. Absolutely disgusting things were being said about me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I had to delete all of them off my phone. I'm getting nasty text messages. There's chat rooms being made about me. There's people saying, what do you expect, from, you get so high, you're gonna, fall really hard and this and that, like just terrible things. And um, I remember all of the instances where, I go to my family just broken, not wanting to keep going. And this is like now life for me. And there's one day where I'm in a alternative learning school, which is Leo during this process. And I'm waiting, of course. This is like while waiting for the detective to continue to do his deal, right? And I didn't know at the time the detective was as stupid as he is. I'm thinking that he's actually doing an investigation and that the truths are finally going to prevail and my name's going to be cleared and I can go back to my normal life. But in reality, he's doing absolutely nothing. No wheels are turning. He's just making phone calls on trying to strengthen the case,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is the definition of somebody who's pursuing a successful prosecution and not trying to find the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And remember what I just said there, because when you get to episode 3, you're going to see that, or you're going to hear that out of this guy's mouth.
Hmm.
As he gets asked during an innocence hearing, when I get a writ habeas corpus evidentiary hearing in episode 3, where he gets put on the stand and grilled by the new district attorney of Williamson County, asking why he didn't do these things, why he didn't do that. And then finally got asked, Chris Daly, detective, actually sergeant now, Chris Daly, what is your definition of justice? And what's hanging in the balance here is it for me to go home on an appeal bond. I'm sitting in this courtroom
Mm-hmm.
3.5 years later, and what comes out of his mouth on that stand is he thinks about it for a second and he says successful prosecution. That is what justice is. Do you know what's wrong with that answer? Justice is seeking the truth. That is what justice is. That's what the Texas Ranger says after he gets off stand, gets put on stand. Texas Ranger gets up there, gets asked this very same questions. He's the one redoing the investigation, and he gets asked the same thing, and he says seeking the truth. So we know where everything went wrong here. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm explaining what's happening during this investigation timeline, right? This very important part, and this is why I've created a foundation, and this is why I am trying to fight and prevent false accusations. Is
Mm-hmm.
for this very moment, like I'm trying to prevent the wrongful convictions, is holding these people that have badges accountable and hold them to a standard. Like hold them to a standard. Like this is why I speak at conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Is I got to one of the greatest speaking engagements I've ever done was at this conference where it was a bunch of police officers that just graduated the academy. It was attorneys who just graduated law school. They don't necessarily know what type of practice law that they're going to get into, but I got to speak to these young bucks, these young fish that are about to be an open canvas in their industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to be one of the first people to tell them my story of what I went through, of what a corrupted, disgusting detective did to me. And I wanted to strike fear and I wanted to strike accountability into them.
Mm-hmm.
And I get arrested again a month after I got arrested the first time. I get arrested. I get pulled out of class at this alternative learning center that I got condemned to. And I'm getting arrested now for a second child. Now I'm like, I'm wishing I'm dead. Like I feel like I'm in a nightmare now. Like I can't control anything.
Well, and not only that, the people that may have been standing by you the first time, now the credibility might seem a little bit different because now there's a second one. Right? Did you feel
Yes,
like that? Like, oh shit, now people are really going to think this is true.
100%. I now I'm like thinking the worst, right? I'm like, there is no way out of this. Like I feel like now I'm being pained something I'm not, and it's sticking, and I have no voice. I can't be the advocate for myself that I want to be. I have no desire to fight anymore. I'm just gonna lay down and die now. And thank God for the people that actually believe me and love me, because if it wasn't for their strength, I would not keep going.
Yeah.
Thank God for this wonderful woman who's now my wife, who has such a fighter spirit, who when I'm at my weakest, she is the strongest. She picks up that torch for me. She still does that today as my wife when I'm struggling, mentally of what I went through while I'm writing my book
Mm-hmm.
and I'm having a bad day because I have to open up this dungeon that I want to keep closed of my past. And if it wasn't for my family, I don't think I would be here today because my family, they didn't waver. They didn't waver at all. I mean, thank God for people that love you and even people that aren't my blood. My best friends, my best man at my wedding, Martin Wakama, he went 10 toes down, went to bat for me online, saying, You don't know Greg. You don't know Greg like we know Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get emotional thinking about it because that's what love is.
Mm-hmm.
And so Yeah, you know, yeah, I don't want to fight much no more. And I'm I kind of go into like a really deep depression. I don't want to get out of bed. And because I have to now go through the process again of getting arrested, getting bonded out.
Mhm.
And, my attorney is trying to be positive and telling me that we're going to continue to fight and I'm going to continue to give you the defense that you need. And like, that's a bunch of BS. Um, but yeah, time goes on and UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio, is sticking with me through all of this. So there's still hope because I'm very glad that Neil Nethery, the defensive coordinator over there who is recruiting me, actually believes in me. And I
Mhm.
don't know why to this day, because everybody else dropped. Everybody else dropped. I mean, rightfully so, man. Like if I'm a recruiter and I'm in the best interest of my college, and all this is being said about this guy that we're recruiting, we're gonna stay away. But again, good people, man. I don't know. Like they're hard to come by. And when you find them in this world, you better cherish them.
Yeah.
And Neil Nethery said, "Hey, we're gonna go all the way to the end with this thing. And you're saying you didn't do it. You're saying you're innocent. Then fight for it. Like that's what we're about here at UTSA. Is when we're down and we're out and the odds are not in our favor. The program that we believe in is we're gonna fight. I'm glad he told me that. Boom, a seed being planted in my life."
Mhm.
And I still remember that conversation to this day when I train and I don't want to train and I want to go, I don't want to train for this race that I have coming up because I'm tired or I'm overtrained or whatever. But yeah, a whole like 6, 7 months, 8 months goes by and nothing. I'm not hearing anything from a detective. I'm not hearing anything from a police officer. I'm barely hearing anything from my attorney. And I'm living with my brother at the time. I graduated college or high school early because I was at that alternative learning juvie center, and I get out. I mean, I start working with my uncle, still hearing nothing, and then there comes a day where I'm like the clock is ticking here. Like college is going to start going into, after my senior year, and
Mhm.
it's already December. So I'm telling my attorney, hey, I don't care. I'm going to exercise my right to a speedy trial. Hey, we're
Mhm.
going to take this thing and I'm going to put some pressure here on the investigation because I need my life back.
Mhm.
I'm done with this. I'm done with living in the shadows. I want the truth to prevail. Something just had happened to me going into this and getting stronger, getting stronger, getting stronger. And then, spring comes around and I get a call from my attorney, and she says that you're being indicted. And I don't know what that means. And she says, well, a grand jury has indicted you to stand trial. And so that's a good thing, I guess, right? Like we're gonna go and get down to the bottom of this. Says, Greg, your charge is super aggravated sexual assault of a child. We need to take this very serious. You're looking at 25 to 99 years. And
Yeah, wait, that be clear about that for people
yeah.
listening. The minimum was 25.
Minimum is 25 years day for day. Maximum is 99 years day for day, which means no opportunity at parole. There's this new law that was passed in Texas. I'm one of the first ones for this to be applied to, by the way. One of the first convictions. And depending on the age of the victim in this case, which was being under 5 years old, under 6 years old is what the policy is, then you can upgrade the charge to super aggravated sexual assault of a child. As crazy as that sounds, um, it means day for day, no opportunity at parole. When an aggravated sexual assault of a child carries 25 to 99 years, I'm sorry, 5 years to 99 years with the opportunity to parole. But this was super. So apparently, like, it's kind of weird because I remember my attorney telling me, like, if they're doing that, it means that they're confident in their case, right? All I've realized after the fact that it's all smoke and mirrors. Um, and yeah, I get indicted and I go, you know, we're preparing to go to trial. Now, there's different phases and steps to this thing, right? And so, like, my attorney now is gearing all her effort towards representing me in trial. So, like, we're getting a PI involved, and we're doing this, doing that, and um, we finally get a date for trial,
Hmm.
which is in July, and now, beginning of July, there's jury selection. And this is still like I'm just giving you guys an insight here about how crazy our system is and what they're allowed to do. And this is part of another reason why I created my foundation. There's this part of the justice system, y'all, and that whoever's listening right now and watching this, I want to really share this with you. And because some of you might have experienced this already and some of you might have not. And but you will one day in your life is you will get a card in the mail to go to jury duty. And do you know how uneducated our jury system is, how uneducated we are, and how easily persuaded we are, and how gullible we are when DAs put pieces of information in front of us that is geared towards believing what they're trying to sell
Hmm.
with absolutely no weight, no water to hold weight. So jury selections happens, right? A bunch of people that get this card in the mail that have to go to jury duty. I'm sitting there at this table, the DA sitting at the other table, and it's about just finding a good jury box for this trial.
Hmm.
And I'm sitting there, and my attorney's saying her thing, and the DA's saying his thing, and trying to select a good jury. And people are getting weeded out, right? Getting weeded out, right? If you're conflicted, if you've got somebody who's been on trial before, if you feel a certain way, if whatever, right? Just weed it out. And it's
Hmm.
just an elimination process. And then finally it gets down to like the nitty gritty where there's only like 25, 30 people left. And then the DA pulls out this little trick in his sleeve. And this is how crazy it is. I'm sitting there and he puts this PowerPoint up and he puts my mugshot up and then he puts Ted Bundy's mugshot up. And he starts now comparing us, saying, don't let looks deceive you. Even good looking young people are able to do disgusting things. And Greg Kelley is no different. And of course, the jury's like, oh my gosh. I mean, I look back, I'm like, are you believing this BS? And they're looking at me with disgust. They're
Right.
already judging me before trial.
Right. And
This
is
is,
your lawyer doing anything about this
of
and
course,
jumping in?
she objects, but nothing happens.
Right. And it's already
But
too late. It's in their head anyway.
it's already in their head.
Yeah.
This is not trial. There's no like redacting of information. There's no judge saying, ignore what you just saw. No, there's none of that.
Right.
This guy shot his shot and it landed.